15 years ago, portals began appearing in the human world. Portals that lead to a different dimension, a dimension full of vicious monsters. Along with this, in-game things such as skills and levels also appeared. Eventually, some people came up with the ability to deal with the monsters from the portal, and they soon became known as adventurers. Our story begins with Ichinos Ikoma, an adventurer. Before he began his life as an adventurer, he was contemplating which combat style class he could join. He knew that people in the magician class were slow, and magic was hard to control. So he thought that he'd be more of a hindrance to a team if he chose the magician role. So he ended up choosing a class with a speed affinity, the thief class. He thought that the most crucial thing for getting stronger was to accumulate experience by being able to stay alive. And soon enough, he was able to slowly accumulate experience and climb the ranks to become one of the strongest adventurers. He even got the nickname, the Divine Sword of Speed. Since then, the portal disaster has kept getting worse. Ichinos continued to protect the country and the world by fighting on the front lines. It can be seen that Ichinos joined a team of adventurers called Swords of Glory, but he seems to be confronted with something. Ichinos is being told that he's being removed from the party. A shocked Ichinos asks why. Ryuzaki, one of the other members of the team, explains why. With the levels of the monsters rising each year, Ichinos' attack power isn't able to make a scratch on the higher level monsters now. And even more so, Ichinos doesn't have any support or healing skills, making him more of a hindrance to their team. Because of this, Ryuzaki concludes that the thief class is now a low-level class without much room for growth. Ryuzaki then continues to make remarks about removing Ichinos' S-class ranking as an adventurer from the guild. Taken back by the whole confrontation, Ichinos begins to look desperate, giving a multitude of reasons why he shouldn't be kicked off the team. He begins to bargain by promising to put his life on the line and take aggro from the enemies. He continues to make his plea. Ichinos is given a small glimmer of hope that he can still be on the team, but Ryuzaki tells him that it's the end of the line for him. And thus, Ichinos is left behind by his old team. This leads to Ichinos becoming broken down, drinking and smoking in his apartment. He looks like he's given up. He's broke because he spent all his money and equipment to make him stronger. He got demoted from being an S-rank adventurer, meaning he no longer has authority to enter high-level portals. From a video on his phone, he sees that his old team, the Swords of Glory, were dispatched in China and have succeeded in conquering the difficult Dao Tai Palace portal. This makes Ichinos envious. To make things worse, he checks the comments on the video. He sees that people are mocking him, calling him a hindrance to the team. This gets Ichinos frustrated, making him regret the class that he chose. He becomes even more broken down, looking back at the days he can never get back. Suddenly, a loud alarm comes from his phone. It's an emergency warning, informing the area that there's an S-rank monster calamity in Tokyo. Ichinos is getting worried because the Swords of Glory are out of the country, meaning there's no one else available to deal with this high-level threat. Ichinos decides to deal with the monster himself. He knows he can't defeat it alone, but he still does it to buy time. The monster stands before him, high and mighty, with a divine presence to it. It's the space-time dragon Kronos. The monster continues to wreak havoc on the city. Ichinos tries to distract the monster to buy time for the citizens to evacuate the area. He soon learns that the monster is too fast, even for him. Ichinos is able to escape the monster's attack, but his weapon breaks and his arm becomes injured. He's not able to get close to the monster, it's too powerful. He tries to poison it with his special move, twin-headed Hydra Poison, but he fails to do so. He sees no hope in being able to defeat the monster. He resorts to using another one of his special moves, the Thief Claw. The Thief Claw allows the user to steal an item from the enemy. If it succeeds against a monster, a unique item will come out. But as Ichinos continues to attack, he gets countered as well. The monster is able to get a clean cut across his chest. It seems to be the end for our hero, Ichinos. His vision is getting blurry, and the monster is just mere inches away from him. He begins reminiscing on what could have been if only he could do it all over again. But then he realizes that, in his hand, he was able to steal a useful item from the monster. It's the broken clock of the great entity of time, a mythic great item. This item can rewind time up to 10 years. If this item is used, it will disappear from all timelines. Ichinos is getting hazy. He thinks he has died already. Right before the monster deals his killing blow, Ichinos uses the item's power to turn back time to 10 years ago. He awakens on the floor of his old room. He is in his younger body. When he checks his status, he sees that he hasn't been assigned a class yet. This brings a grin to his face. His prayers were answered. He promises himself not to make the same mistakes and that this time he will definitely become the strongest adventurer. Achinos watches some news from the past, thinking about how different things were back then. Achinos points out his advantage of knowing future knowledge, such as ways to earn experience points and precious items. But before he can do any of that, he needs to obtain a class first, and before he can obtain a class, he needs to reach level 10. He goes to a low-level portal where classless people are able to enter. While killing low-level goblins, he meets an old guy who warns him about the dangers of adventuring solo in the cave. This man is Oharu Kenji, a level 16 long sword user. He says that he protects the beginners that come into the dungeon. Achinos is a bit annoyed by his presence. They ended up tagging along with each other. After killing a bunch of goblins, Achinos has now reached his desired rank of level 10. Kenji tries to explain the basics, such as choosing your class, but this is already common knowledge for Achinos. It is known that the selectable classes are based on your current skills and stats. Skills can be unlocked by spending skill points on certain stats. Kenji recommends that Achinos become a long sword user or a thief, since these were the more popular classes during this time, but with Achinos' acquired knowledge from the future, he knows that those roles won't hold up in the future. Achinos spends his skill points leveling up his fall resistance. Kenji is shocked and confused as to why Achinos would do this, since the only roles available, if that skill is prioritized, are swordsman and villager. But Achinos knows what he's doing. After maxing out his fall resistance, a class other than villager and swordsman appears. The gravity user, a hidden class that can only be unlocked after reaching level 10 in fall resistance. The gravity user was a role that not many people chose due to the requirements being quite strict and the role itself being hard to use, but Achinos knows that the gravity user is the strongest class. With the gravity user being a magic class, Kenji is worried about Achinos choosing this class, since the magic class is commonly seen as being very vulnerable, having very low endurance, and having the highest death rates in battle. This doesn't faze Achinos though, he knows the potential that the gravity user provides. Suddenly, a rare high-level goblin appears in the midst, threatening the low-level beginners. Kenji, being a lower rank than the monster, doesn't know if he should run or stay and help the other lower-ranked people. Kenji stays to fend off the monster and tells Achinos to run back. Kenji tries to fend off the high-level goblin, but it's clear that he lacks experience fighting enemies that are on the same level as him. Achinos, being only level 10, knows that it'd be too risky to try to stop a monster of a much higher level. But seeing Kenji fend off the monster all alone, he goes in and tries to help. The goblin runs up to Achinos, targeting him. Achinos tests out his newly acquired abilities as a gravity user, gravity moiety. Gravity moiety increases his speed by decreasing the gravity force on his body. With this newly acquired power, Achinos is able to strike a blow at the goblin. Despite being a lower level, he's able to go against the goblin due to his wit, knowledge, and newly acquired skills. Achinos is able to get the goblin into a weakened state, with Kenji dealing the final blow, killing the goblin. With the display of such great skill, the people around Achinos are in disbelief at how a newbie can have such power. Achinos' magical power is depleted after the fight, so he's feeling quite tired. Kenji thanks Achinos for the help and carries Achinos outside because of Achinos' magical power depletion. Because of Achinos' display of bravery and courage, he gives Kenji hope to be able to graduate from being a tutorial guy in a beginner portal. After finishing the primary inspection of the gravity user skill, Achinos is now ready to raise it to the next level, but there is a much higher risk if he does it alone. Achinos plans on joining a party temporarily, but due to him being a magic user, the least popular class possible during this time, along with having low stats, the number of people willing to let him join his party is practically non-existent. While trying to negotiate with the receptionist about letting him join a party, a new character arrives. An egotistical blonde adventurer, Atsunomiya Sho, is the leader of the Thunder Knights. The blonde knight continues to mock Achinos for being a magic user. Sho mentions that he too is of a rare class. He begins to display his powers. With his sword, he strikes the air, summoning a barrage of lightning. He continues to boast about his seemingly impressive display of power, garnering the attention of the people around them. But from Achinos' observations, he could infer that although Sho's power looks strong, it's weak against fast enemies and easily counterable. He sees Sho's true intentions and character. After much contemplation, Achinos decides to continue working alone for the time being and leaves. Sho tries to provoke him one last time, telling him to quit adventuring, but Ichinos stays unshaken by his comment. Ichinos ventures on into the Adventurer Guild reference room to plan out his next move. He concludes that finding a temporary party to join is next to impossible with the class that he has. He decides to go to a dungeon with a higher level to grow. While browsing through portals he could go to, he chooses a level 25 portal, the Stone Statue Temple. It's a mid-level portal with easy fights and a preserved dungeon for beginners. Meanwhile, in the Stone Statue Temple, an injured man seems to be running away from an unknown being. The creature comes nearer and nearer until it strikes. He goes back to the agency to apply for the Stone Statue Temple. The receptionist is in shock that someone of his class and of his low level wants to go into the Stone Statue Temple alone. The receptionist warns him of the possible unknown dangers that can lurk behind that portal, but Ichinos doesn't seem to care. He steps into the portal and arrives inside the temple. Everything seems normal until one of the statues attempts to attack him from behind. Ichinos is unfazed by this, though, calling the attack cheap and meaningless. Ichinos uses his power to increase his speed, dodging the statue's predictable attacks. Ichinos is underwhelmed by his opponent. Other than its high durability, the statue has nothing else remarkable going for it. Ichinos tries to go in for the killing strike. He dashes forward and uses his magic to accelerate at half his body weight, changing his level of gravity right before his attack hits. His sword pierces through his foe, splitting it in half. After defeating the foe, he is able to gain skill points. He uses the skill points to level up gravity manipulation. He is now able to manipulate the direction of gravity on top of the heaviness of gravity. From the fallen remains of his opponent, he collects the core of the monster, the magic crystal. Ichinos thinks about going back, but with so much magical power to spare, he decides to continue into the temple to test his new skills. In the same temple, we see a familiar strike of lightning. It pierces through one of the temple monsters. He's with his party members, killing opponents in the Stone Statue Temple. With a menacing smirk on his face, he steps on the burned remains of the foe he just killed. One of Sho's party mates asks him if he feels any remorse for what he said to Ichinos back then in the guild. Sho says he does feel sorry for Ichinos, but his sarcastic tone and demeanor say otherwise. While walking with his party, he hears some noise from behind. At first, Sho thinks it's just another statue monster. But when they check on what it was, they see that it's a monster of higher strength and level. Sho's party mates are frightened and taken back by the monster, but Sho, cocky as he is, was drawn to the monster due to its high level and strength. A level 30 knight statue stands before them. Sho's party mates suggest they don't take on the monster that's levels higher than them. But Sho insists that they put up with the challenge. The knight statue strikes his weapon into the ground. Sho's party mates are unsure about taking on this foe, but Sho is confident in his team's capabilities. From the foe's first strike, we can tell that Sho underestimated the speed at which this monster can attack. Sho tries his first strike, but it seems that barely a scratch was made on the monster. Sho tries to go on the defensive, but he isn't able to avoid the knight statue's next attack. Sho's face finally changes. His cocky look is now gone. He finally realizes the mistake he's made. Sho's party mate, Karen, brings him back to his senses. But she then gets hit by another one of the knight statue's powerful blows. Sho's other party mate gets hit next. Everyone in their party is injured and weakened. Sho realizes the reality of the pitiful state they're in. The fear is finally building up inside him as the knight statue looks down on him. In a final act of desperation, Sho attempts to attack the knight statue with his most powerful attack, Lightning Strike, but it seems that his attempts were useless. Sho's sword is broken, and all hope is lost. He is left sobbing, not knowing what to do next, begging to be spared by the monsters. A bright purple mist comes about, grabbing the knight statue's attention. It's Ichi-Noz, attempting to figure out a way to bring down this foe. A frightened Sho warns him of the power a foe of this level can have. The knight statue stands before Ichi-Noz, with a beaten-down Sho behind him. Sho yells at Ichi-Noz to run, but Ichi-Noz remains unfazed. Even with Ichi-Noz's gravity manipulation, he knows that any normal attack from him would barely make a dent in a monster like that. So he's left with no choice but to use that attack. With his limited magical power, Ichi-Noz knows what he needs to do to take down this foe. He dodges his foe's attack and creates a clear opening. He positions himself above his opponent with reverse gravity, and when he sees an opening, he uses double gravity to damage the opponent. With all of these skills, he unleashes the final blow that kills the opponent, the Meteor Slash. By being able to defeat an opponent of such a high level, Ichi-Naza's level increases by 7 whole levels, along with gaining 14 skill points. Sho is amazed by the amount of power someone at a lower level could display. Sho is having second thoughts about Ichi-Naza's intentions. He wonders if Ichi-Noz wants payback after humiliating him in the guild. Ichi-Noz approaches Sho, and although Sho has a defensive response, Ichi-Noz asks if Sho is alright. Ichi-Noz goes back to the guild and reports what happened in the portal. The receptionist is in disbelief when she hears that a low-level newbie like Ichi-Noz was able to defeat a higher-level monster alone. Ichi-Noz presents the evidence, and the receptionist confirms that Ichi-Noz did indeed defeat a level 30 knight statue. The receptionist asks if Ichi-Noz will be selling the magic crystal. The receptionist gives a rough estimate, and it's quite a hefty amount. Despite the great amount of money, Ichi-Noz decides not to sell the crystal, saying that it's just for showing off his achievements. Before Ichi-Noz could leave, he was confronted by a familiar face. It's Sho, from the Thunder Knights. His greetings start with a warm thanks, but his true intentions begin to show when he invites Ichi-Noz to join the Thunder Knights. Sho's cocky demeanor begins to resurface, letting his ego get the better of him. Everyone around them is in shock at Ichi-Noz having been able to receive such a rare invitation. But it comes to a more shocking twist, when Ichi-Noz rejects this offer, by the captain of the Thunder Knights. He leaves the guild uninterested in the offer, leaving Sho humiliated. Ichi-Noz's plan takes on a different trajectory. He's determined to collect the unique items from the Crazy Dream Theater portal that will be opening soon. Ichi-Noz is back at the guild to trade his collected droppings. Ichi-Noz has been leveling up, so the receptionist tells Ichi-Noz to prepare documents for his promotion to D rank. In this world, there are things like ranks for adventurers. Common citizens start at F rank, and then they become E rank after choosing their class. Those deemed eligible to respond to portal disasters are D rank and higher. The receptionist is still in disbelief at how Ichi-Noz is able to rank up so fast, especially when he's a solo mage. After meeting the requirements, Ichi-Noz levels up to D rank. At the incredible pace that he's able to rank up, Ichi-Noz is aware that he could possibly be standing out, but he says that it is absolutely necessary to hurry up in ranking up. The number of portals one can enter once they hit D rank will increase exponentially. Having a lot of achievements also makes it easier to get invited. Ichi-Noz takes note that in a few days, the Crazy Dream Theater portal will appear. In his previous life, the adventurer who got a weapon from this portal got a sudden boost in power. That adventurer became a portal criminal who attacked and killed adventurers. Ichi-Noz is determined to get that weapon away from the hands of that mischievous adventurer. But to make that possible, he would need teammates to help him get through the portal. Having too many people in the party will make it hard to move, so, for the meantime, Ichi-Noz will start with a two-person party. He wants someone who has good compatibility with a gravity user, who fits well with the targeted portal, and who understands his solo achievements. But with so many conditions, Ichi-Noz wonders if he can find such a person when there's not much time left. He ventures on to look for that individual in the guilds. After spending half the day in 3 different guilds looking for a potential party partner, he has failed miserably in doing so. When he gets to the 4th guild, he finds a pair of girls arguing. A brown-haired girl named Aoi is scolding a blue-haired girl who is on the verge of crying, Satsuki. Aoi eventually tells Satsuki that she's been fired from their party due to having too low skill efficiency and power. While witnessing this happen in front of him, Ichi-Noz sees a glimpse of himself in this poor girl's situation. Being left behind by his old partymates due to his being too useless strikes a chord with him. But Ichi-Noz knows that he can't risk his life by choosing someone based on emotions alone. While the two girls continue bickering, Ichi-Noz overhears that Satsuki, the blue-haired girl, is a shaman. Shamans, as Ichi-Noz would mention, have good compatibility with gravity users, and to top it off, shamans are useful for the boss of the Crazy Dream Theater portal. Ichi-Noz introduces himself to the group, explaining that he's looking for a party to join. Aoi, after just kicking out Satsuki from their team, tells Ichi-Noz that there's an open slot in their party. She becomes flirty to convince Ichi-Noz to join their party, but Ichi-Noz is uninterested in joining their party and instead invites Satsuki to join him instead. Ichi-Noz is determined to have Satsuki join his party. Satsuki is unsure about joining Ichi-Noz because of her low rank and lack of confidence, but Ichi-Noz persists. Eventually, Ichi Noz was able to convince Satsuki to join his party. Ichi Noz and Satsuki begin formally introducing themselves to each other. Satsuki is still pretty unsure of the capabilities she's able to provide to their party. Ichi Noz begins discussing plans for getting into the portal with the rare items. Satsuki is scared of venturing into an unexplored and unknown portal, especially when she's at such a low level. Ichi Noz assures Satsuki that their capabilities are enough to take on the new portal. This gives Satsuki the confidence to go with Ichi Noz to take on the new portal. Satsuki is in disbelief with how Ichi Noz would know how and when a new portal would appear, but due to perfectly timed convenience, an emergency warning goes off in everyone's phones, alarming them of a new portal that has appeared in Tokyo. The next day comes, and Ichi Noz and Satsuki arrive at the portal location. When they arrive, a woman from the Demon Defense Agency arrives, asking for the adventurers to go into the portal and get any information that they can. Satsuki is still a bit worried about taking on such a high-level, unexplored portal, but she still promises to do her best, even saying that she can be a decoy. Ichi Noz reassures Satsuki and advises her not to push herself too hard. He then asks her if she learned the mana drain skill because it will be useful for the opponents in this portal. The mana drain skill steals magical power from enemies and can even give the stolen magical power to allies. It works well with gravity users since they use large amounts of mana for their abilities. Ichi Noz and Satsuki are faced with their first foe in the portal, a level 26 circus bear. While fending off the foe, Ichi Noz gives an opening for Satsuki to attack. While the circus bear is distracted, Ichi Noz positions himself and uses double gravity to deal the killing blow to the opponent. Ichi Noz and Satsuki level up after defeating the circus bear. But Satsuki feels like she's just leeching off of Ichi Noz. But Ichi Noz reassures Satsuki that she's a vital member of their party and tells her that her power will become much more useful later. Ichi Noz is still a bit worried about Satsuki's confidence, but he shakes it off. Ichi Noz remembers the guy from his past life who got the rare powerful items from the portal and became a portal criminal. Ichi Noz thinks about how they can change the course of history if they can stop the criminal from getting his hands on the rare and powerful items. At the same time, that very guy is fighting another adventurer. The criminal dodges the adventurer's attack and counters with a deadly parry attack. It is revealed that this criminal is named Zabekoru. Ichi Noz and Satsuki continue to venture and level up in the unknown portal. Satsuki continues to apologize because she feels like she's just leeching off of Ichi Noz. But Ichi Noz reassures Satsuki that a shaman is a vital and strong class. Satsuki suggests that they go back because their magical power is low, and Ichi Noz agrees, although instead of going back, Ichi Noz has a different plan in mind. Ichi Noz grabs a hold of a portal enemy and asks Satsuki to drain its mana using her skill, Mana Drain. Satsuki successfully drains the enemy's mana and transfers it to Ichi Noz. Ichi Noz's mana is successfully increased, and he and Satsuki continue adventuring in the portal. While transferring mana to Ichi Noz again, Satsuki shows a bright beam of optimism. It seems that she's actually enjoying her time adventuring with Ichi Noz. Satsuki then gives some advice that she got from the guild. The guild taught her that if you encounter a monster that's higher level than you should run away and not challenge it. Ichi Noz counters this with some advice of his own, stating that if you don't use your knowledge and skills to challenge monsters whose levels are higher than your own, you won't level up. The pair continue to venture deeper into the portal, and after a whole day of adventuring, they reach the final boss of the Crazy Dream Theater portal. Satsuki immediately gets nervous since it's her first time seeing a portal boss. She says that she's not nervous, but despite obviously looking so, her determination to become a braver adventurer strengthens her will to face the final boss. With a glowing smile, Satsuki shows confidence that she has the courage to walk through the door that leads to the final boss. And with one push, Ichi Noz and Satsuki face their greatest foe yet. The portal boss stands before them. The level 35 Mad Clown. Our adventurers prepare to make their plan of attack, but behind the door, it seems that there is an unwelcome third party in their midst. Ichi Noz goes with the aggro approach first to give Satsuki some distance from the enemy. The biggest concern with this boss is their high HP and good regeneration, so Ichi Noz has to resort to more creative tactics. While Ichi Noz dodges the Mad Clown's attacks, Satsuki attempts to drain its mana but soon gets caught. The Mad Clown then targets Satsuki. As the fireball attack from the clown inches nearer and nearer to Satsuki, Ichi-no-Z comes in and deflects the attack away from Satsuki. The pair try to back off for now, but the mad clown goes in for the attack. Ichi-no-Z positions himself above the mad clown and uses his double gravity skill. We're taken on a flashback to when Satsuki and Ichi-no-Z were preparing for the boss. Ichi-no-Z explains how the boss has fast magic attacks and that if one were to approach the boss slowly, they'd be burned to ashes. We're brought back to the present. Satsuki attempts to use her mana-draining skill on the boss, but the mad clown soon realizes what she's doing. The mad clown attempts to counterattack, but it runs out of magical power from blasting off fireballs repeatedly and teleporting simultaneously. Now that the mad clown is practically unable to go on the offensive, it leaves him wide open for attacks, giving Ichi-no-Z the perfect opportunity to pin him down. Satsuki attacks the boss with a shadow ball, and Ichi-no-Z unleashes his final gravity, giving the final blow to the mad clown. And thus, the final boss is defeated. The boss dropped the item that Ichi-no-Z had been looking for all this time, the crown blade. Ichi-no-Z acquired the clown blade, a C-rank weapon that deploys skills faster and reduces MP usage. Ichi-no-Z explains that this weapon helps raise the standard for all the skills that the user has. It's a completely broken weapon, a balance breaker. It is especially useful for gravity users, who create a gap when they change skills during a fight, as well as covering MP exhaustion and back-to-back skill use issues. After learning that the weapon covers the basic weaknesses of a gravity user, Satsuki asks if Ichi-no-Z doesn't need her anymore. But Ichi-no-Z reassures Satsuki that he still wants to party with her even after completing the portal. But even after the reassurance from Ichi-no-Z, Satsuki still seems a bit jealous of the weapon. After everything that had just happened, Ichi-no-Z decided to level up his special gravity user skills. While leveling up, he acquires a new skill, the super gravity ore. But a sudden new foe arrives, Xavi Kuru. He was using concealment to hide his presence, and he was observing the two to get information on the boss. Ichi-no-Z was confused as to why Xavi arrived earlier than expected. He then realized that Xavi probably waited for other adventurers to get fatigue after fighting the boss and killed them when they were weak. Ichi-no-Z is feeling suspicious towards the unwelcome visitor. Xavi sees that the crown sword is in Ichi-no's hand and asks if he can see it real quick. Xavi thinks he got Ichi-no-Z outsmarted, but when he goes in for the sneak attack, Ichi-no-Z is able to dodge it. Ichi-no-Z tries to land a counter, but Xavi is too fast even for him. Xavi threatens him to hand over the weapon, but Ichi-no-Z refuses to do so. This provokes Xavi and prompts him to attack. Ichi-no-Z knows that Xavi is a big threat, and that any small move can lead to both his and Satsuki's deaths. The odds are against them. Xavi has the upper hand, and he goes in for the strike. The fight gets tense, with both Ichi-no-Z and Xavi trying to land a clean hit on each other. Thanks to the crown blade, Ichi-no-Z is able to go toe-to-toe with Xavi. Ichi-no-Z is able to hold him off, but Xavi starts getting serious by using his skill, the poison needle. Despite it being such a sudden move, Ichi-no-Z was quick enough to deflect it. He then dashed in to attack, leaving a clean cut on Xavi's face. Xavi gets frustrated and goes on the offensive, but Xavi overpowers him and blocks his attack. Ichi-no-Z is able to read his opponent's moves like a book. While getting distracted by Ichi-no's monologuing, Satsuki is able to charge up an attack on Xavi, paralyzing him and allowing Ichi-no-Z to get a clean hit on Xavi's eye. Ichi-no-Z is low on mana, and Xavi is getting frustrated and impatient. He's being toyed with in this fight, and with his left eye cut, the odds are becoming less in his favor, but Xavi knows that the boss fight took a toll on Ichi-no-Z, and he maniacally laughs in the face of our hero. Xavi uses shadow steps, making him basically invisible, leaving our adventurers unable to target him for attacks. The sudden murderous rush is going through Xavi's veins. It's a fight to the death with him and Ichi-no-Z. Countering and deflecting each other's attacks, it's toe-to-toe between the two. Xavi is trying to get Ichi-no-Z to deplete his magical power. Ichi-no-Z is almost at his limit, and Xavi knows it. Ichi-no-Z needs to end this fight with his next attack, so he positions himself above Xavi and increases the gravity tenfold while in midair, focusing all his power into one last strike, a meteor slash. Ichi-no's power was too much for Xavi to take, and thus the fight was over, or so we thought. Ichi-no's mana is all depleted, and Xavi is still standing even after being dealt that powerful blow. Ichi-no-Z tells Satsuki to run away, while Xavi's stamina is still low. Xavi even makes some unsavory comments, calling Satsuki a hindrance. This puts a gash in Satsuki's self-esteem. But right when Xavi is about to give Ichi-no-Z the finishing blow, Satsuki comes in and musters up the courage to attack Xavi. Ichi-no-Z advises Satsuki to run away, but she refuses to. She gives all of her remaining magical power to Ichi-no-Z to finally finish off Xavi. Blow after blow, Ichi-no-Z's attacks overwhelm Xavi. Now, using the power granted by the Crown Blade, Ichi-no-Z finally finishes his opponent off with one final move. After defeating Xavi, Ichi-no-Z asks Satsuki to call the people from the Demon Defense Agency outside of the portal to take care of Xavi. After the entire ordeal, Ichi-no-Z and Satsuki have some coffee at a local cafe. It can be seen on Ichi-no-Z's phone that news regarding Xavi's arrest has been made public. Ichi-no-Z explains how the country changed after the portal disasters began to appear, with the number of crimes carried out outside portals dramatically decreasing. The government progressed towards a dictatorship due to extreme circumstances. Due to the significant societal changes, many fell into poverty. Their well-being became of secondary importance. Ichi-no-Z becomes thankful for having Satsuki as his party partner. If it weren't for her, he wouldn't have made it out of that fight alive, and in turn, because of Ichi-no-Z, Satsuki was able to become a stronger and braver adventurer. Ichi-no-Z and Satsuki continued eating, with Satsuki rambling on about random stuff, and Ichi-no-Z was able to pick up that Satsuki is the talkative type. People around the cafe begin to chatter and notice Ichi-no-Z and Suki as the adventurers who defeated Xavi. Along with the chatter came a familiar individual, Sho. Sho rambles on about how Ichi-no-Z and Satsuki had become the talk of the guild in recent years. Apparently, videos and blogs of them have been circulating everywhere. Sho then boasts about the potential that Ichi-no-Z has in a cocky and irritating manner. Before he could even finish his sentence, trying to recruit Ichi-no-Z to join his party, he was interrupted by another familiar face. Aoi, from Satsuki's old party, begins apologizing to Satsuki and asking for her to come back to their old party. Satsuki thought the apology was genuine at first, but she soon saw the selfish intent that Aoi had. Satsuki then asks for her and Ichi-no-Z to leave the place. Satsuki seems to be in a gloomy mood, and Ichi-no-Z then asks if she's alright with not talking to Aoi. It is apparent that Satsuki's usual happy, bright demeanor soon shifted into a more dark and gloomy mood. While checking out the videos of them that have been circulating around the internet, they also check out other portal-related videos, such as Dungeon Strategies for Dummies, ASMR portal environment sounds, and conquering a dungeon while chatting. Meanwhile, in some unknown place, a blonde YouTuber boasts about reaching 1 million views on her video, but she immediately becomes upset when she sees another video getting more views than hers. We then learn that this girl's name is Fujiwara Hoshinen. Her night servant tells her that the other video is getting more views because current trending topics naturally get more views. Fujiwara starts thinking up ideas for her next video. The story continues with Ichi-no-Z and Satsuki discussing matters in a cafe. They discuss leveling up Satsuki's weapon, since leveling up means now having stronger foes to go up against, so they need a higher quality shaman staff for Satsuki. At first, Satsuki feels bad since Ichi-no-Z is doing so much just to get her a good weapon. But Ichi-no-Z reassures Satsuki that her getting a better weapon also benefits him because they're comrades. This seems to make Satsuki react in a certain way, making her all bubbly and giddy. While browsing through possible portals that could get them some money, Ichi-no-Z stumbles upon the grave of the old king. It's an undiscovered portal found just recently with unusually high item drop rates. It's a special type of portal called a rare portal. At the present time, no one knows that the grave of the old king is a rare portal, but due to Ichi-no-Z's prior knowledge from his past life, he is fully aware of this. Not only are the drops that you get from this portal really good, but the portal also has useful rare items as well. With no one else knowing this yet, Ichi-no-Z plans on retrieving all of the items from the rare portals. Meanwhile, Satsuki is wondering why Ichi-no-Z has such a mischievous look on his face. The story continues at the grave of the old king, where they get ambushed by a white knight. It is just a single foe, but the opponent proves itself to be impressive in combat. Ichi-no-Z's sword slashes aren't effective against bone-type monsters. Satsuki then attempts to cast a magic attack on the monster, helping Ichi-no-Z strike the finishing blow. Along with the loot and XP, The pair also got a rare item that was dropped by the enemy, a D-class relic knife from ancient times. Satsuki then asks him what the target amount of loot was that they needed to collect, and Ichi Noz responds with 3 million yen, which shocks Satsuki. Ichi Noz explains that their plan is to spend 3 days exploring and moving items, which means that they will need to acquire 1 million yen worth of items each day. Further into the portal, Ichi Noz hears a battle on the other side. It is between a mummy monster going against Fujiwara, the streamer, and her night servant. While defeating their opponents, they also seem to be filming a video that's to be posted online. Satsuki recognizes the woman and gets excited, but Ichi Noz has an annoyed look on his face. Satsuki and Ichi Noz can be seen in the frame of Fujiwara's stream. So Fujiwara asks them to step aside to get out of frame. Ichi Noz then comments on how Fujiwara was making false claims in her videos about being able to beat the monster with a single blow when it was already attacked beforehand by her night servants. Fujiwara then explains how it's all part of production and checks if the footage they took is good enough to be used. When Ichi Noz tries to talk to Fujiwara, the streamer gets a bit irritated. Ichi Noz explains that the footage Fujiwara just got can't be used, and Fujiwara complies. Ichi Noz then persists in asking why Fujiwara is a portal streamer, and Fujiwara goes on to explain with a straightforward answer. Money. As for Fujiwara's explanation, portals are exciting and sensational. They're easy to farm content from, even from a single portal. They also attract a lot of business attention, which boosts ad revenue. It is clear that Ichi Noz seems disgusted and annoyed after Fujiwara gives her reasoning, explaining how being an adventurer is more complex and challenging than one might think. He also advises her to get rid of her assistants before she starts talking big. He even tells her that a portal of such a level isn't a place for an idol like her, warning her of the potential dangers that she could get into. This clearly upsets Fujiwara, and Satsuki even says that Ichi Noz took it too far, but Ichi Noz brushes it off, saying that it was just genuine advice. After being emotionally distressed, Fujiwara quickly changes her mood and asks for the camera from her assistant. Fujiwara then challenges Ichi Noz to a match to see who can collect the most magic crystals. If Fujiwara wins, Ichi Noz must apologize and take back the things he said, and if Ichi Noz wins, Fujiwara will agree to whatever he says. Ichi Noz immediately agrees to this bet, which shocks Satsuki. Both Ichi Noz and Fujiwara agree to meet up at the entrance in 3 hours. Later on, Fujiwara's assistants ask why Fujiwara would do such a thing. She responds, saying that it would make great content and that it felt frustrating to be told off like that. Ichi Noz. She wants him to take back everything he said. While Ichi Noz and Satsuki continue to defeat monsters and collect droppings, Satsuki asks Ichi Noz if it was necessary to accept Fujiwara's challenge from earlier. Ichi Noz states that he has no intentions of losing in a portal exploration. The two then stumble upon an unknown place within the portal that seems to be a dead end. When they set foot into the dead end, the room began to shake, and the exit was caged off. Ichi Noz realizes that this is a portal gimmick. Portal gimmicks are special actions and events in certain dungeons, with most being just traps, but some bringing great benefits. The statue asks the adventurers to answer questions. It explains that the questions will continue until they make a mistake. If they can't answer more than 3 questions correctly, their lives will be taken. It's a portal gimmick where they have to fight if they fail to meet the conditions. Ichi Noz reassures Satsuki that he won't lose in a battle of knowledge. The statue utters the first question: what is the total amount of express did need to win from level 1 to 10? While Satsuki is baffled by how one is expected to calculate such an amount, Ichi Noz just says the answer straight away. They've reached the 19th question and the portal gimmick still hasn't ended yet. The statue reaches the 20th question, asking the adventurers, what is the monster that drops the mucus of the green slime? Despite being a trick question, Ichi Noz was still able to answer it correctly, explaining that it is only possible to create one with alchemy skills. The statue is in disbelief at how Ichi Noz still hasn't gotten a single wrong answer. The statue eventually just opened the locked door. After defeating the portal gimmick, the adventurers were able to collect another rare item, a storage ring that can store items in a different dimension and can be carried as one walks. The amount of storage for this item depends on the user's magic power. The item is the exact thing that they needed. The issue of not being able to carry a lot of dropped items won't be an issue anymore due to the convenience of this item. The two continue venturing and defeating the foes in the portal. Meanwhile, Fujiwara and her knights are doing some adventuring of their own too. As one of her knights comments, they haven't been able to beat opponents at a great pace, as they've only been able to defeat 2 so far. After Fujiwara becomes gloomy and worried, the knight asks her what she'll do if she ends up losing against Ichi-no-Z. She says that she'll hand over some money to him to act like he lost. Soon, Ichi-no-Z and Satsuki arrive. Ichi-no-Z then reveals the great amount of crystals and loot that they were able to collect. Fujiwara is amazed by the sheer amount that they showed her. Fujiwara seems provoked and continues crystal collecting with her knights. Satsuki points out that what Ichi-no-Z is doing is bullying. But Ichi-no-Z just says that he's fanning the flames a bit, but he does admit that he got carried away. He hopes that she doesn't do anything excessive. Satsuki confronts Ichi-no-Z, asking him if he has anything against portal streamers. Ichi-no-Z responds, saying that they don't take the job of an adventurer seriously and justifying why he acted the way he did towards Fujiwara. As Ichi-no-Z would say, being an adventurer carries the risk of losing one's life, and it's not something you can do in your spare time. If one were to continue moving forward without conviction or resolve, they'd eventually regret it when the time came. Meanwhile, Fujiwara is plotting a way to beat Ichi-no-Z in their bet on who can collect more magic crystals. She has trouble coming up with a possible plan and gets frustrated, and to make matters worse, one of her knight servants informs her that they don't have enough magical power. Fujiwara gets visibly irritated, crying out that she's aware of the fact. She says that they just can't go back after not being able to collect enough crystals. It's clear that Fujiwara's frustration is making her desperate. We go to a flashback from 8 years ago. In the vicinity, there are burning buildings everywhere, caused by a giant portal monster. The monster has one big eye and drool dripping out of his mouth. We see a younger Fujiwara, hunting what seems to be her younger brother. Fujiwara sees her father getting attacked by a portal monster, and he calls out to Fujiwara to help him, but before Fujiwara could do anything, her father gets killed by the portal monster. Fujiwara runs away with her brother, and they reach safety in an evacuation center. The people in the evacuation center talk about the pitiful state Fujiwara and her brother are in, having just lost their father to the portal monsters. It is here that we learn that Fujiwara always hated the feeling of being powerless and that all she could do was run away. But she thought it would be better if she could become someone's courage in the face of all these tragedies. Someone who can be a beacon of hope. So with that sentiment, she aspired to become the portal streamer that she is today and give courage to the people she could reach. This is why she was so offended when Ichi-no-Z called her someone who didn't have resolution or conviction. We are brought back to the present, with Fujiwara continuing on her quest to collect more magic crystals. Fujiwara thought that fighting a big monster could help them get more magic droppings, and by chance, they stumble upon one. Fujiwara runs up to the monster at the corner of the hall. She hopes that it's a boss that can be easily defeated, but on the contrary, the monster that they meet is the hardest possible monster that they could have stumbled upon in the portal. The portal boss, Necromancer Farouk. Fujiwara is levels below the boss. She trembles since she knows that there's no way she can defeat this thing. Her knights are also aware that they can't defeat this thing and make a plan of escape. But another adventurer who was battling against the boss calls out to Fujiwara's party, begging for help. Fujiwara gets an immense feeling of déjà vu, getting flashbacks to when her father was killed during the previous tragedy. Fujiwara gets reminded of what first motivated her to become a portal streamer, to be a face of hope amidst all the tragedy. Fujiwara runs towards the injured adventurer to help, telling her knight servants to hurry and run. She buys time, distracting the boss to let the injured adventurer escape. While fighting, Fujiwara's knights come in to help her fend off the boss, but it's clear that they were simply too underpowered and underleveled to defeat the boss. One of the knights casts a shield to block off the boss's next attack, but the boss's power is too strong for the shield to withstand. Fujiwara realizes that she has no way of beating this boss. The boss goes on strike, and Fujiwara braces herself, but at the last minute, Ichi-no-Z comes to save the day. Ichi-no-Z grabs Fujiwara to save her from the boss's attack. After seeing the conviction and resolution in Fujiwara to save an adventurer in need, Ichi-no-Z apologizes and takes back the words he told Fujiwara. The boss throws its spear at Ichi-no-Z, but he easily evades the attack. With his skills, Ichi-no-Z fends off the boss with Fujiwara in his arms. Satsuki lands a hit, but it wasn't able to stun the boss. With Fujiwara's knights heavily injured, Ichi-no-Z and the rest can't run away. Ichi-no-Z and Satsuki were able to defeat the Mad Clown, But this portal's boss requires a different strategy to be defeated. Ichi realizes that the chances of success are slim, but he takes on this challenge. Satsuki restores Fujiwara's magical power, and they plan on going aggressive. Ichi realizes that his skill increases agility but reduces attack power, which isn't the best when up against their current enemy. One of Fujiwara's knights uses his remaining strength to use his skill, haste, on Ichi to help him fight the boss. The knight asks Ichi to take care of Fujiwara, and Ichi makes that promise. The boss's power lies in its power and speed, making it a real challenge for Ichi. The other knight wakes up, hazy and injured, and sees the fight going on between the boss and Ichi. Amazed by the sheer display of speed and strength by Ichi, the knight starts filming the fight. Ichi walks up the boss's arm, does a flip, and lands a clean hit. The knight is amazed by the footage he's able to get. Despite all his efforts, it seems that Ichi barely did any significant damage to the boss. After restoring their mana and health, Fujiwara and Satsuki join the fight. Ichi dodges multiple attacks and tries to find an opening. He uses his skill to throw a statue at the boss. The boss breaks the statue, but this opens an opening for attack. Satsuki lands a clean hit on the boss's face, but it still wasn't able to stun the boss. Fujiwara tries to find an opening for attack, but it's practically impossible because of all of its arms and the level difference. Ichi tells Fujiwara to use her skill break to break the boss's mask. Fujiwara charges her attack, but she's still unsure about being able to land a clean hit. Ichi realizes the boss's weakness. With his skill, he binds the boss's arms, making it unable to unleash attacks. Fujiwara sees an opening, goes in for the hit, and lands it. The boss's mask broke, revealing the monstrous face behind it. The boss's weak spot is exposed now, leading Ichi to land another clean hit, slashing through the boss. The boss is defeated, and Ichi and the others gain experience and level up. Fujiwara heals her fallen knights, and Ichi picks up the rare item dropped by the boss, the Staff of the Cursed King. The staff is perfect for Satsuki, but she suggests that they split it with Fujiwara and her party since they also helped with fighting the boss. Fujiwara doesn't mind it and tells Ichi and Satsuki that they could keep it since they saved Fujiwara and her knights after all. Ichi takes back what he said back when he was bickering with Fujiwara and even calls Fujiwara an adventurer with resolve. Fujiwara gets flustered by the compliment and blushes. Ichi leaves one more comment, telling Fujiwara that if she wants to be an ideal adventurer, she should probably stop doing things half-baked like she does, but this offends one of Fujiwara's knights. The knight says that the career of being a portal adventurer isn't a financially stable job for Fujiwara because she has to take care of her injured mother and 5 younger brothers. Ichi apologizes for his comment, being unaware of Fujiwara's current situation. Fujiwara says that she wants to put a smile on people's faces with the work she does, and Ichi cheers on and roots for Fujiwara's success. Everyone gets out of the portal and moves on with their lives. While walking home, one of Fujiwara's knights informs her of the video he was going to get during their fight against the portal boss. Later, at the Marima Branch Adventurers Guild, Satsuki informs Ichi of a video that Fujiwara posted. It's the footage of Ichi going against the portal boss. The video is doing well, getting a lot of views, and the people in the comments are amazed by Ichi skills. This makes him feel a bit weird. He noticed that people were staring at him earlier, and now he knows why. Satsuki compliments Ichi since the video was able to hit 1 million views in just a short amount of time. Meanwhile, Fujiwara is celebrating the success of her new video. In the middle of celebrating, she gets a call from none other than the star of the video himself, Ichi. From the tone of his voice in the call, Fujiwara could tell that Ichi was upset. Fujiwara tells Ichi that she'll delete the video if Ichi wants. But Ichi remembers Fujiwara's current situation of having to take care of her mother and 5 brothers and lets it slide, telling Fujiwara that he just wanted to complain a little. Fujiwara has another idea. Since Ichi was able to garner a lot of views and attention in Fujiwara's newest videos, Fujiwara insists that she and Ichi should make portal videos together, but before Fujiwara could get a response, Ichi hung up on her. Ichi seems visibly annoyed and pretends that he didn't just hear what Fujiwara just said. Ichi moves on to his next move, obtaining the next super rare item, the Ring of Wisdom. As he says, if he can get his hands on that item, it might change the fate of the world in a big way. The guild receptionist confirms that Ichi has been able to reach level 36 and that he has successfully been raised to C rank. The receptionist was in full shock because Ichi knows is the fastest person to be able to rank up to C rank. It's faster to level up by beating opponents with a high level, but if you're inexperienced or lacking in knowledge, it can be very challenging. Ichi knows tells Satsuki that he aims to get to B rank by the end of the month. Satsuki is shocked by this. A feat as great as that is next to impossible to achieve. Ichi knows explains why he wants to reach B rank by the end of the month. There is a place where you can't enter unless you're B rank or higher, the Illusion Library. It is through this portal that the Ring of Wisdom can be acquired. Ichi knows says that the Ring of Wisdom might be related to the root of the portal phenomenon. This shocked Satsuki. From Ichi knows' previous knowledge from his past life, the Ring of Wisdom was known to have a strong possibility of having a hidden effect, but its whereabouts became unclear before any research could be done on it. And it was also rumored to contain information about the cause of the portal disasters. With the remaining time that they have, the possibility of them reaching B rank is slim. Satsuki is happy to tag along with Ichi knows to achieve his goals. But she doubts if they can reach B rank with the little time that they have left. Ichi knows assures Satsuki that he has a plan. The adventurers continue defeating portal monsters and leveling up. Boss after boss, they defeat them one after another. Ichi knows is back at the guild to be promoted to B rank, and the receptionist is, again, bewildered by how much he is able to progress in such a short amount of time. While minding his own business with the receptionist, some random guy walks in on their conversation, mocking Ichi knows and being in disbelief that, in his own words, a little brat like Ichi knows is able to reach B rank. This guy is Oga, a contracted adventurer for the guild. Adventurers with significant achievements can sign contracts with a specific guild to work for them. They mainly do jobs such as portal management, responding to portal disasters, or giving advice about unexplored portals. They have great influence within their guild. Oga laughs in disbelief that Ichi knows is able to climb up the ranks and reach B rank. The receptionist confirms that Ichi knows has indeed reached B rank and even says that he has quite a few achievements under his belt. Oga is still in disbelief. From Oga's own experience, it took him 7 whole years as an adventurer to become the Marima branch's first B rank adventurer. He seems shocked that some kid, as he says, just appeared out of thin air. Oga just can't seem to accept that Ichi knows, a newbie with less than a year of experience, is able to be a B rank adventurer. Knowing that Oga is one of the few contracted B rank adventurers in the guild, Ichi knows knew that he couldn't just ignore this person if he wanted to be promoted to B rank. Promotion applications are limited to where adventurers live on their certificate of residence, but Ichi knows has already dragged Satsuki this far with information that they just cannot turn away. Ichi knows engages in conversation with Oga, asking for appropriate reasoning as to why Oga would want to refute Ichi knows' application to be promoted. Oga states that his experience is not enough. As he's described, portals aren't things for little kids like him. And the title of B rank adventurer shouldn't just be given away so easily. Oga makes quite a ruckus in the guild. Ichi knows makes a rebuttal. 6 people out of the entirety of Japan have been able to advance to B rank in less than a year. He asks Oga if he thinks all of those promotions were mistakes. Ichi knows' level and achievements meet the requirements for a B rank promotion. Oga is having trouble putting together a rebuttal for Ichi knows' argument and reasoning. It seems that Oga has lost an argument with Ichi knows and gets mad. He asks the receptionist what level and class Ichi knows is at. Oga has never heard of the gravity user class before, which baffles him a bit. Before Ichi knows can become a B rank, Oga tells him to come to the guild training ground if he has the resolve. Oga makes a deal. He'll allow Ichi knows to get promoted if he is able to convince Oga in a mock battle. Some other people in the guild have some chatter, saying that Oga was able to leave 2 people half dead in a mock battle before, and they worry if Ichi knows can take on Oga. But this mock battle is just a cover-up. Oga's true intention was to get payback. Oga is confident that he can defeat Ichi knows because of the level difference and because Ichi knows is a magic class. Oga is a beast warrior, a class that can harness the power of beasts. From Oga's judgment, he has Ichi knows beat in all aspects. Oga plans on humiliating Ichi knows and leaving him in a state that prevents him from being an adventurer. Ichi knows that Oga isn't an opponent that should be taken lightly, so he uses up the stat points he's been saving up. He levels up his gravity manipulation to have better control over his own body. Oga tries to intimidate Ichi knows, but Ichi knows is still unshaken. Oga, being cocky as he is, says that he'll restrict the use of his skills to give Ichi knows a chance. Oga is confident that Ichi-Nose won't hold up against a fight against him. But Ichi-Nose dashes in with impressive speed, striking Oga. Oga is in shock and goes in for a swing to counter. But Ichi-Nose has already changed his position and gets a clean knee kick on Oga. Oga is unable to land a single hit on Ichi-Nose. He now thinks he's becoming a lacking stock after getting beat by a lower-level magic class newbie. Ichi-Nose attempts to finish the fight. He enters Oga's blind spot and defeats Oga. Oga is completely devastated by this defeat and refuses to accept the outcome. In a fit of rage, Oga uses his skill and attacks Ichi-Nose. Ichi-Nose was able to deflect the attack and leave uninjured. The crowd calls Oga cowardly for using his skill despite saying he wouldn't use any, and after the fight was over, of all things, Ichi-Nose asks if Oga will continue the promotion match, and it seems that he will. Oga just refuses to accept that Ichi-Nose was able to defeat him in a fight. His pride and ego just won't let him. He's too afraid of his reputation getting tainted because of this. Oga rejects Ichi-Nose's application to be promoted, and everyone in the room is in pure and utter shock. Oga seems to be making excuses with his reasoning for rejecting Ichi-Nose's promotion. The people watching seem to disagree with Oga's reasoning, even calling him disgusting. Amongst the crowd of people, we see a familiar face, the Thunder Might Show. Sho calls out Oga, saying that Ichi-Nose was winning from beginning to end in their fight and that Ichi-Nose only got injured because Oga broke the rule of not using his skills during the fight. Sho claims to be Ichi-Nose's friend and continues to defend him. Ichi-Nose is grateful for Sho's efforts, but it's clear that he's annoyed by Sho's efforts. Satsuki is confused as to why Ichi-Nose is being denied the B-rank promotion despite meeting all the requirements and being able to defeat Oga in the fight. Ichi-Nose fought with the intention of showing the difference in their skills, but it just ended up hurting Oga's self-esteem. Another new face appears, the deputy chairman of the guild, Serizawa. Chairman Serizawa was looking for Oga and asked him what he was doing. Oga responds, saying that he was just conducting an examination. Serizawa says that he has something urgent to talk to Oga about. Sho continues to persist, but it seems to have no effect. Left with no hope, Ichi-Nose is forced to find another way. Meanwhile, Serizawa and Oga discuss important matters, such as the mausoleum of the Beastmen and a B-rank preserved portal in Marima. Serizawa says that it would be great if they could leave the portal under supervision, and if they raise the levels of the adventurers, they'll be able to collect more magic crystals. Serizawa also states that the distribution of monsters has drastically changed and that their concentration of magic power is at an unusual level. This could prove a big threat. Serizawa wants Oga to investigate this portal before anything dangerous happens. He wants Oga to state his opinion regarding the portal and convince the head of the guild. Oga gets mad and throws a small fit, complaining that Serizawa is giving him a boring task. Oga begins stepping on the data and documents and looks down on Serizawa. Oga leaves the room, saying that he's confident enough to conquer the unknown portal. Our story continues in a cafe with Ichi-Nose and Satsuki. They are in disbelief that someone so egotistical and cocky is the guild's contracted adventurer. With Oga blocking his way to becoming B-rank, Ichi-Nose's goal of being able to challenge the illusion library seems to be becoming far from reality. In a dilemma, Ichi-Nose tries to think of a new plan, but suddenly, a loud voice appears. Fujiwara arrives. She has heard of what happened during the fight between Oga and Ichi-Nose. Apparently, Fujiwara was able to receive a video of the match from a fan of hers. Fujiwara then decided to upload the video on her channel to have Oga face the judgment of the public. Ichi-Nose accuses Fujiwara of just wanting the views, but she denies this. She blushes, saying that she only did this because she wanted to be of some use to him. Ichi-Nose tells her not to do anything excessive. Oga doesn't seem to be the type of person to change, even if he gets criticized. Satsuki, who's been listening to this whole conversation, seems to be getting a little jealous and asks Fujiwara straight up if she's interested in Ichi-Nose. Flustered, Fujiwara denies having any interest in Ichi-Nose. While rambling, an emergency alert rings from the phone, informing the adventurers that a B-rank monster disaster has appeared in the Marima ward of Tokyo. A flood is happening, meaning monsters from inside the portal break out into the human world. There is only one way to stop a flood: subjugate the portal boss and conquer the portal. Ichi-Nose becomes confused, wondering why this is happening when nothing ever occurred in his previous life. He wonders if this is a coincidence or if he has anything to do with it. Fujiwara wants to help too, but she's scared due to not having experience entering a B-rank portal before, but she wants to help those in need and persists. Ichi knows, Satsuki, and Fujiwara decide to go help prevent this disaster. Meanwhile, during the disaster, Oga is defeating some monsters who have leaked out of the portal. He realizes that Sarasa's warning actually came true. He fears that his reputation will go down even further because of this. Ove lashes out at the demon defense agents who are with him. Oga is getting frustrated, but he seems to be more worried about his position and reputation than the damage the city has received due to the flood. Oga thinks about getting a limelight by becoming the hero of Marima and persists in defeating the portal boss as fast as possible. But when they arrive, it's clear that the information that they received regarding the portal boss was completely different from what they were seeing. The boss was a sinister and demonic-looking two-headed fox, the Acha's ghost fox. The boss stands before them. It seems that the monster has evolved, with not only the level increasing significantly but also the monster's figure changing along with gaining new traits and skills. Being forced to face a level 55 boss, the demon defense agents are not sure how they're supposed to defeat this thing. The other agents suggest they retreat, team up with another group, and buy time until the defense agency and the adventurers from other wards arrive. Oga completely disagrees, saying that they should face the boss head-on. Oga seems to be prioritizing his reputation rather than the actual safety and well-being of the agents. Oga competently says that he'll defeat the boss in one hit. The agents are in shock and worried if Oga can actually do so. Oga gets offended by this and gets even more frustrated. Oga then decides to use his skill on the agent, Berserker. Berserker is a beast warrior skill that raises the target's attack power for a short time. Oga has done this to decrease the agent's reasoning and cause them to go rampant. In a cowardly move, Oga sends out the brainwashed agents to go on and attack the boss monster first to create an opening. The boss starts attacking all of them, throwing rocks and debris. Oga's plan seems to be countered, and he begins to have trouble figuring out what to do. The boss closed in on Oga and attacked. Oga is barely able to deflect the attack. Oga admits that the monster is simply not beatable. Oga resorts to using another skill, Play Dead. Thinking Oga is dead, the boss ignores him and walks away. Oga attempts to run away, but he is caught by the boss and gets attacked. Oga is not badly injured and is not unable to run away. The boss picks up Oga with telekinesis and seems to be tormenting him. Meanwhile, Ichi knows and the others arrive at the scene and help the citizens in the area. Fujiwara heals some of the injured citizens and helps them evacuate. If the flood isn't stopped soon, disaster will continue to spread. Much time has passed, but the disaster still hasn't been stopped. Circumstances just seem to be going from bad to worse. A possessed Oga can be seen terrorizing adventurers from the demon defense force. Oga, as a foe, does prove itself to be troublesome. The agents aren't able to land any attacks on him, his strength is overwhelming them too much. The dire circumstances are getting worse and worse. As Oga goes in to strike the fallen demon defense agent, Ichi knows comes in just in time to stop him. The agent warns Ichi knows that Oga is not an easy foe to go up against, but Ichi knows persists. The agent actually becomes impressed that Ichi knows is able to go up against an opponent like Oga. Ichi knows is able to easily read Oga's moves. Hit after hit, Ichi knows tries to get Oga out of the portal boss manipulation. Oga hears Ichi knows voice but seems to be hallucinating the mock fight and the guilt. Oga gets even more mad and aggressive. Ichi knows tries to finish him off fast, so he cuts off his arm. Oga finally stops going on a rampage, but Fujiwara says that he took it a bit too far. Satsuki suggests that they take the injured somewhere safe, but it seems that it's too late since the portal boss has just arrived. The portal boss stands before them. They notice that the boss level is way higher than what was reported. Due to it being an evolution, even Ichi knows is unaware of what should be expected. They need to defeat the boss to end this whole disaster, but with an enemy this strong, it seems that normal methods won't work. The boss summons spirit foxes to go and attack them. Ichi knows tells Satsuki and Fujiwara to deal with the enemies around them and protect the demon defense agents that got injured. Ichi knows plans on targeting the portal boss itself and putting an end to the flood disaster. Fujiwara complies and lets Ichi knows do his thing. The portal boss tries to take out Ichi knows with the poltergeist. Even Fujiwara begins to doubt if Ichi knows is able to deal with an attack of this scale, but with his skill, Ichi knows is able to quickly evade the portal boss attack. Ichi knows is able to go toe-to-toe with this monster of a boss. The demon defense agent is in complete awe of how Ichi knows is able to fend off this monster. From his judgment, he's confident that Ichi knows has what it takes to become a top-class adventurer. Ichi knows tries to land consecutive heavy blows on the boss. Ichi knows tries his best to weaken the boss, but it still has so much HP and mana, while his HP and mana are quickly depleting. The boss proves itself to be a formidable foe, even for Ichi knows. Ichi knows tries to formulate a new plan, but he seems to be cornered. Ichi knows decides to persist and focus even harder on his attacks. Ichi knows is able to land a clean hit on the portal boss. The portal boss seems irritated and decides to summon even more fox spirits. The portal boss sends out another large-scale poltergust attack. Fujiwara sees that Ichi knows is in trouble and suggests that she and Satsuki should help him in the fight. Ichi knows is completely cornered, but Satsuki says that the portal boss seems to be intimidated by Ichi knows. Ichi knows focuses his power and cuts through all the spirit foxes attacking him. The sheer speed is unbelievable. Left with an available opening, Ichi knows takes it and goes in for the attack. The portal boss has been defeated, and the pool is closed. Ichi knows has saved the day. For defeating the monster, Ichi knows received an insane amount of expa. Ichi knows was able to rank up 6 whole levels, and he is now level 44. Ichi knows magical power is completely drained. The adventurers celebrate their win, and Fujiwara reminisces about her dad, happy that she was able to get a little closer to being able to protect people. The demon defense agent, who was there to witness everything happen, is still amazed at the fact that a portal boss of such high level was defeated by a single person. The party goes to the guild and reports their success. The receptionist is amazed that a party of C-ranked adventurers was able to resolve such a wide-scale and dangerous issue. The receptionist bows in giving thanks to the adventurers for keeping casualties to a minimum. A crowd of people in the guild recognizes the adventurers and gives them praise for resolving the issue. Fujiwara basks in their newfound fame, but Ichi knows teases her, saying that it was too bad that no cameras were present to film anything that happened. Sarazoa arrives and sees the adventurers responsible for saving the day. He recognizes Ichi knows as the person who was able to defeat Oba, and from the look of his face, it seems that Sarazoa has some plans in store. Meanwhile, in a hospital, an amputated and hospitalized Oga is mad at what happened. He grows envious of Ichi knows for cutting Oga's arm off and for getting all the glory for saving the city from imminent catastrophe. Oga exclaims that he'll use his status power to make sure that Ichi knows gets punished, but the demon defense agents beg to differ. One of the agents that was with Oga during the whole incident steps forward, admitting that Oba used his skill on him to make him lose control and go rampant. Oga is being confronted for his wrongdoings. Meanwhile, back at the guild, Ichi knows is still having trouble applying to be ranked up to B rank. Ichi knows worries that he won't be able to rank up in time to be able to conquer the illusion library and gets frustrated. Even Satsuki tries her best to convince the receptionist to have Ichi knows rank up to B rank, but it proves to be of no use. But Sarazoa overhears Ichi knows troubles and joins the conversation. Sarazoa uses his position to give Ichi knows special treatment to rank him up to B rank. Both Ichi knows and the receptionist are shocked to hear this. Although Sarazoa is giving special treatment, this decision is not set in stone. The guild chief will still need some convincing, as Sarazoa says. Ichi knows asks Serizawa why he's doing so much for him, and Serizawa responds, saying that protecting the country is their duty. The portal disaster that happened a few days ago was originally predicted by the guild and should have been prevented. Serizawa wanted to show his gratitude to Ichi knows. Because of this, Ichi knows gets approved to become a B rank. Even compared to his past life, the rate at which he's leveling up is rapid. Ichi knows' face begins to look upset, as Satsuki points out. Ichi knows just says that something is on his mind. The events in this timeline and in the timeline during Ichi knows' past life aren't adding up, which leaves Ichi knows confused. He wonders what change caused the events to change so drastically. It wouldn't be strange if something entirely different were to happen. Ichi knows concludes that this is possibly due to a butterfly effect, a small change causing a great change down the line, but he wonders what exactly caused it. Ichi knows tries to ignore this negative thought and becomes more optimistic. He celebrates being able to reach B rank. Ichi knows checks his phone and sees news that the illusion library has finally appeared. Ichi knows wants to acquire the Ring of Wisdom, but before he can do that, he needs pre-application and inspection in order to enter portals B rank and higher. Determined, Ichi knows and Satsuki venture on to fill out the applications as soon as possible. Meanwhile, an unknown man in a large mansion is on the phone with another unknown person. They discuss matters regarding the illusion library. The unknown man says that they can't have anyone else get their hands on the boss drops from this portal. The other person on the call asks about the unknown man's current team and how they're handling the situation. The unknown man expresses concern about his country's people potentially losing trust in him if his operations are found out, saying that he will definitely not be forgiven. The unknown man says to get in touch with the Chimera's Fang as soon as the portal appears and to kill every adventurer that goes in the portal. The phone call ends. A different random man enters the room for consultation about the preparation of the demon defense forces. He asks who was on the phone just now before he entered the room, but the unknown man just says it wasn't a big deal. It is revealed that this unknown man is the Demon Defense Force Chief, Hojo Karebi. On the train, Satsuki asks Ichi Noz what kind of place the Illusion Library is. Ichi Noz explains, saying the Illusion Library is an enormous library with a lot of enemies that use magic attacks. The portal level is 60, and it has opponents that they shouldn't be careless with. Satsuki begins to doubt if they can defeat the portal, but Ichi Noz reassures her that they can since he's already come up with a strategy that will help them win. At Adventurers Gulid Kanagawa Prefecture Yurikura City Branch, while planning, Ichi Noz isn't allowed to enter the Illusion Library. They're not allowed to enter due to the many adventurer deaths at the Yurikura Guild branch, so that's why the branch is being quite strict at the moment. Ichi Noz tries pushing his luck, but his luck has run out. The receptionist explains that if it's just managing the portal, the Demon Defense Forces are more than enough, and from the looks of a fresh B-rank adventurer and a C-rank partner, the pair won't be able to enter the portal if they continue bickering with the receptionist. A tall man overhears this conversation. It is a level 43 B-rank monk who also wants to enter the Illusion Library, Jugoya Seiji. He also wants to enter the portal, but there are not enough high-rank adventurers as of the moment. Ichi Noz hatches up a plan. If Ichi Noz and Satsuki have Seiji and other adventurers, the branch might become less restrictive. But Ichi Noz worries if Seiji can really be trusted. Seiji invited Ichi Noz to his party, and Satsuki asked if she'd also be invited. Seiji refuses to, stating a multitude of reasons as to why, even going so far as to call her waste. Ichi Noz stands his ground, refusing the offer to join Seiji's party if Satsuki is excluded. Seiji reassures the two that his approach was not for personal profit or ill intent. He explains that his party already has two superb members who are the vanguard. Ichi Noz makes a rebuttal, stating that a shaman can make vital contributions to a party. Seiji eventually agrees and asks to exchange contact information with the pair. The monk Seiji then walks off to ask his other party members if they should include Ichi Noz and Satsuki in their party. Ichi Noz and Satsuki then have a talk, wondering if Seiji can really be trusted. Ichi Noz inferred that they can't be picky, and if they have more members, it'll be harder to secure the Ring of Wisdom. But then again, if they don't have enough people in their party, they can't enter the portal to obtain the Ring of Wisdom. Meanwhile, Seiji is discussing with his party members whether they should include Ichi Noz and Satsuki in their party. Seiji is still trying to convince Shan to include Ichi Noz and Satsuki. Satsuki senses a very strange atmosphere and asks Ichi Noz if this is really okay. They thought Seiji was suspicious, but his party members were even more so. Cheyenne glares at the pair, threatening them, saying that she'll kill them herself if they end up being useless or if they take away a share of the profits. Kasai, the other party member, doesn't care much as long as they can enter the portal and as long as they don't hold him back. Ichi Noz notices that everyone in Seiji's party is quite high level, so he tries to ignore everything else about them. By creating a makeup party, the merits of going straight into an unexplored portal are high. Cheyenne and Kasai are a bit upset with Seiji regarding his choice of recruited members. Now that their temporary party is formed, they head to the Illusion Library. They enter the Illusion Library, and Seiji describes the insides of the portal as interesting and refined. Cheyenne warns the pair not to get in their way, but Ichi Noz says that he doesn't want to get out of the portal empty-handed. This seems to upset Cheyenne, but Ichi Noz continues with logic and reasoning. Cheyenne settles with it, and Ichi Noz and Satsuki focus on conquering the portal first. Ichi Noz recognizes that it won't be easy to conquer the portal with just a group of high-level adventurers. Ichi Noz's strength lies in the prior knowledge he has acquired from his past life. Seiji grabs a book from a shelf and tries to read the contents of the book, but he is unable to do so because the writings in the book are in an unknown language. The items inside the portal other than the items and magic crystals are erased as soon as they leave the portal. In the future, research progress on the culture in the portals will advance, though as a result, they will find out more about level distortions and how unclear the cultures are. The language found inside the portals is practically not a language at all. The possibility of it just being a string of random characters is high. Some counter-theories were presented against the notion. However, most had no real evidence and could just be summed up as delusions. The Ring of Wisdom from the Illusion Library was sent to be a rare item that was able to unravel that exact mystery. Ichi-Noz absolutely cannot allow this item to be lost in this world. Meanwhile, Seiji and his party are fighting some portal monsters and successfully defeating them. Kasai tasks Ichi-Noz and Satsuki with collecting the magic crystal droppings from the monster they just defeated. Shien joins in on insulting the pair, telling them that they have no job here. Satsuki talks back, telling Shien that she didn't do much herself. This gets Shien upset, so Satsuki just apologizes to avoid the situation getting worse. Ichi-Noz makes an observation. He concludes that Shien and Kasai are both quick in their decision-making, and they both make good use of their skills. Ichi-Noz confronts Cassie for being a thief. His mood changes, and he becomes giddy and smiley, which shocks Satsuki. This sudden burst of positivity seems to unsettle Kasai quite a bit. Ichi-Noz's constant rambling begins to irritate Kasai, and when Ichi-Noz starts giving advice, Kasai really starts getting flipped off. Kasai threatens to cut Ichi-Noz's head off if he says anything more meaningless to him. Satsuki asks Ichi-Noz why he would talk to someone as scary as Kasai. Ichi-Noz just says that he's knowledgeable about the thieves class. From Ichi-Noz's prior knowledge from his past life, he states that thief classes have to be aware of their low attack power. Otherwise, they'll become useless at higher levels, and he doesn't want Cassie to go down the same path he did. While checking out the portal items, the party stumbles upon a new enemy that has arrived, the Clock Rabbit. The Clock Rabbit looks less threatening than the goblins that they were able to defeat, but it's at a high level. Ichi-Noz explains that the Clock Rabbit won't begin to fight unless one gets within a certain range of it. Ichi-Noz suggests they go around the Clock Rabbit and find a different route, but Cassie doesn't listen and gets close to it. Kasai goes in to attack the Clock Bunny, but Ichi-Noz tries to warn him, yelling at him to go back. Kasai finally gets a clean hit on the enemy, but the monster is able to escape and increases its speed to continue evading. Kasai thinks that the unique enemy could potentially have good drops once defeated. Now that it's been driven thus far, it won't overlook them anymore. They have no choice but to defeat it. Ichi-Noz yells, warning everyone that the Clock Rabbit is going to use its skill. The other members are confused as to why Ichi-Noz is getting so worried. The Clock Rabbit is provoked, and it begins using its skill, Ars Magica. The Clock Rabbit summons 4 40-level monsters in their space. Ichi-Noz tries to give Cassie advice, but he just tells Ichi-Noz not to order him around. Kasai tries to fend off the monsters, but the clock monster is able to corner Kasai and attempt to attack. Ichi-Noz deflects the attack just in time. Ichi-Noz has analyzed the Clock Rabbit's movements and attack patterns. It only runs and uses surprise attacks. Ichi-Noz tries to make a plan of attack, but Seiji says it's far too reckless. Ichi-Noz tells Seiji that there's no such thing as living twice and to stand down. The Clock Rabbit's movements are fast, and the rabbit itself is extremely cunning. Ichi-Noz plans to fight 3 of the monsters at the same time, but Shien says it's impossible. Satsuki trusts that Ichi-Noz knows what he's doing and encourages the others to do the same. Ichi-Noz fends off the monsters and tries to formulate a plan to defeat them. Shien is also able to fend off the monsters, but she's making sure that she's keeping an eye on the rabbit. Ichi-Noz is trying his best to fend off the floating chest monsters. He's able to kill them one by one. The other members are also able to help defeat the enemy. After being able to defeat 2 monsters, the Clock Rabbit uses its skill again to summon 2 more monsters. Ichi-Noz then notices that the maximum number of monsters the rabbit can summon is 4. Shien is getting irritated at being ordered around by Ichi-Noz, so she doesn't follow his orders, but she ends up getting sneakily attacked by the Clock Rabbit. While getting distracted by the Clock Rabbit, Shien gets hit by one of the floating chest monsters. The monster is chomping on her, and she can't seem to get it off of her. Using his skill, Ichi-Noz separates the monster from Shien. We really hope that you enjoyed this manhwa. Make sure to like and subscribe for more.